So poultry farming really needs or takes a lot of maize in the formulation of it. So this is my farm. I have this farm. The size of this farm is around 15 to 16 acres around there. So you can see I have planted enough maize that can enable me as a farmer to be able to formulate enough feeds for my farm and also to be able to supply it to you as farmers. This farm, I've been able to plant maize, all of it, up to the other end. You can see all of it is planted with maize. And if you want to be able to succeed in poultry farming, you must be able to plant your own maize if you are doing poultry farming not in a very large scale. So this is one of my farm. I have various farms whereby I have also leased, whereby I'm planting maize. Most farmers, they will say it is not, it doesn't make sense for you to be able to plant maize. But if you have to know the right way of how you can be able to do the maize farming, so as you can get the maize from your farm and store it, then it will be cheaper on your side. But if you decide that you will purchase the maize for the formulation of feeds on your poultry farm, then it may be a challenge on your side. But as for me, what I usually do, I usually make sure that I am purchasing or leasing land so as I can be able to plant my own maize. So you can see, you can decide to lease land. For example, if you have planted maize, for every acre of maize, you have to make sure that you are getting at least 20 bags of maize. So like for this acreage of mine, which is around 16 acres, I have an estimate whereby I should be able to get around 300 bags of maize from this farm alone. Yes, I can decide to supplement some maize, whereby I can decide to purchase some maize. But you have to really know that the maize that I usually use on my poultry farm is around 35 to 40 bags in a single month, depending with the number of chickens that I have on the farm currently, and also depending on the number of chicks that I have on my poultry farm. So meaning that if I decide to formulate my own feeds, I can be able to formulate feeds that are enough for me and my birds for the longest. So like this farm over here, you can see we have this thing over here. I want you guys to guess what is this. What I'm doing currently is I'm top dressing this maize. But we had a challenge whereby we were trying to find people who can be able to weed the maize, and we weren't able to find. Can you guys guess what this is? Yes, I want you to comment down below what this is. So as I was saying, that like on my farm, my birds usually eat around 45 bags in a single month, between 40 to 45 bags in a single month. So it depends with the availability of the maize and also the availability of the birds that I have on my poultry farm. That is what matters. So guys, that's why I usually say you have to make sure that you are planting your own maize so as it can enable you to be able to save money on the poultry feeds, because maize usually constitutes of around 70% of the poultry feed. Then the other half of it is maize germ and also the concentrate. So you have to make sure that you have planted your own maize. If you plant your own maize, if for this farm alone, I can be able to feed my birds for approximate, can I say, 7 months only from the harvest from this farm. I can be able to feed my poultry birds for a period of 7 months. So if you're saying that it doesn't make sense for you to be able to plant maize, then you're not seeing the reason out of it. You have to make sure that you are doing your calculations right. If you're doing your calculations right, meaning if you have a certain number of birds, 5,000, you have to make sure that you are leasing land that is enough for you to be able to plant maize that can sustain you on that poultry farm for a period of, can I say, 10 months. 10 months is a good number. So if you are able to make feeds or to have maize that can serve on your poultry farm for a period of 10 months, then that means that you will be able to save a lot of money in the long run, because that money that you will be using to spend to purchase the maize, you will have already used it on the planting of the maize and harvesting. You may end up finding out that for you to be able to plant, for example, 1 bag of maize, to be able to produce it on an acre, you may end up finding out that you are using around 1,500 as maximum. So if you're making a bag at 1,500, then you go and make your feeds, okay? If it's using for the birds, you'll end up finding out that you're making a bag at around 2,200 Kenyan shillings. That is if you have planted your own maize, okay? So if you have planted your own maize, meaning you'll be able to save a lot of money on the feeds. If you're able to make a bag, like for example at 2,200 Kenyan shillings, and other people are purchasing the bag at 3,300 Kenyan shillings. For example, if you have like on my farm, I have only 1,200 birds. So 1,200 birds, they are consuming 3 bags in a single day. So if they are consuming 3 bags in a single day, that means that they will be able to consume around how many kgs? 150 kgs in a single day. And 1 bag, you are saving around 1,000 Kenyan shillings per bag. If you are saving 1,000 Kenyan shillings per bag, meaning if it is 3 bags, you are saving 3,000 Kenyan shillings in a single day. So times 90, that is 90,000 Kenyan shillings in a single month. 90,000 Kenyan shillings in a single month that you are saving, multiply that by 7 months. Okay, how much money is that? Okay, that's around 630,000 that you'll have saved if you are able to plant your own maize. So if you have many chicken, like 10,000 chicken, meaning you have enough money to be able to lease land like over 100 acres, and you can be able to plant maize that is enough for all those birds. The only thing that you have to do, you have to make sure that you have studied the area whereby you are leasing the land, and you have known which variety of maize that can be able to thrive in that area, okay? And you have to know the right practices of how you'll be able to plant the maize and be able to get money out of the venture. Because if you don't know, then you'll end up losing a lot of money in the making of the planting of the maize. You're losing a lot of money in the planting of the maize, and yet you're not getting an output, so you may get a loss. I saw most people, they were planting the maize. I saw another person who was planting maize in a marshy area. Maize doesn't need a lot of water. Maize needs a very temperate climate that is a bit warm, so as it can grow up very fast and it can be able to yield faster. If you plant it in a marshy area, you'll end up finding out that the water in that marshy area will go away with all the nutrients or all the fertilizer that you will be applying in that area. So you have to make sure that you are taking control of the water. So you have to make sure that you dig the furrows so as it can be able to control the water in that area, so as it doesn't have to go away with all the nutrients in your land. So let's continue. We are doing the top dressing. Let's continue so as I can educate you more in this sector. So in any kind of business, you have to make sure that you know your cost of production. If you are really knowing the cost of production, meaning you'll be able to make a lot of money in the end. Now I'm very tired. I've sat down a tree. I don't know. This tree is known as Mugumo. I don't know. If you know the name of this tree, make sure you comment down below. Yes, the name of the tree. So I'm so tired. I have top dressed. You can see more people are still top dressing over there. This camera can't zoom, but you can see properly over there. They're still top dressing. Yes. So when you're doing any kind of farming or any kind of business, you have to make sure that you really take in of the input cost. That means that the cost of production, you have to make sure that you are really taking care of that. When you're able to plant your own maize, you'll get a profit that is consistent all year round. But if you purchase the feeds, but you end up finding out that the commodity that you are selling is not increasing in price, you may end up finding out that at some point you may find out that you have thin profits, very small margins. For example, instead of you making like 100,000 Kenyan shillings per month, you may end up making like 50,000 Kenyan shillings per month, or even 45 there, because you end up finding out that the cost of production is so high. So you can be able to solve that if you're able to know how you'll be able to minimize on your cost of production, the input. So sometime I realized that There are some that are very fixed and they are so hard for you to be able to control. Like for example, in the hatching business, like for us, it is so hard for me to be able to control the power outages. So it may reach a time whereby you find out that the electricity can go for a very long while. Even it can take like even 2 days before it comes back. So you end up finding out that you are losing a lot of petrol or the gasoline or the generator. So that one is so hard for you to be able to control. But for the feeds, if you have just a small amount of money, you can be able to lease land. You end up finding out that you leasing land here in Kenya is like even $50 or $60 per acre. So you just, if it is leasing like $50 per acre, and that is a period of a whole year, whereby after you have removed your maize, you can decide and plant some soybean in it. So I'm saying like the cost of leasing land is so affordable and is not that much, because if it is $50, even if it is for 10 acres, that is only $500 US. That's around 60 or 70,000 Kenyan shillings. Okay, 70,000 Kenyan shillings, you are leasing land 10 acres that can be able to serve you for a whole year, 365 days, meaning you'll be able to plant maize after you have harvested the maize. Even you can, but when you return the maize, it won't be able to do very well. So the only thing you have to do, you have to make sure that you are doing crop rotation, whereby you have to put the soybean, okay, whereby you find out that the soybean also constitutes as the most expensive protein when you are formulating the feed. So you can decide to also plant the soybean. So this is my encouragement and my word of advice to most of you farmers. If you want to be able to succeed in the poultry farming business, you have to make sure that you have your own. If you live in an area, I know most of us live in urban setup, but it's not a must you just purchase the feeds. You can think outside the box. You can go to your nearest village outside the town, and you'll be able to get land to lease. I know in some areas maize cannot be able to grow, and maybe it may not be economical on your side, and that's where we come in. The actuary farms over here will be able to supply to you high quality feeds. We'll supply to you high quality day-old chicks, and also we'll be able to supply to you the high quality feeds. So you're living in an area and you also don't want to get tired, because you know farming is a bit tiresome. You can see even now I can't be able to stand up because I'm so tired. I'm sitting under a shade. So it requires a lot of time, and also it requires a lot of energy. And maybe you are not in the country, maybe outside the country. The actuary farms over here will be able to supply to you the high quality day-old chicks. Remember, high quality day-old chicks, the improved kienyeji day-old chicks. We also supply layers, which we outsource, and also the broilers. But for the improved kienyeji breed of chicks, we'll be able to formulate for you the feeds that are tailor-made for those kind of birds that we have done and tested on our poultry farm. So when we supply to you the day-old chicks, we'll also be able to supply to you the feeds and give you the right ways of how you can be able to make those chicken mature in 3 months or even less. That is our motto, to be able to help you guys achieve in this venture. So don't feel afraid to contact us, so as we can be able to help you achieve your dreams. The most serious poultry farm here in Kenya is known as the actuary farms, and we are going to become a wave. In a span of 5 years, we'll be a wave in East Africa. So just watch out, and make sure guys you like and subscribe to the channel, so as this video can also reach more people who want to know how they can be able to formulate their own feeds, so as it can help them prevent them losing money. But you'll not be losing money if you're getting the high quality feeds from the actuary farms, so, or the actuary farmer himself. Most people usually ask me my name. My name is Mayuba Brian. That is my name. So if you want to know me properly, that is my name. You can feel free to contact. The numbers are over here on the screen. And our farm is located in Bungoma, and we usually do countrywide deliveries. We also do consultation. And for the case of consultation, guys, you have to pay me before I do a consultation for you, because most people, when you have done the consultation for them, they decide that they are not paying. They start to give you stories. We usually call them stories of Abunwasi. So when these guys decide to give you the story of Abunwasi, watakuwa wamekuchapa, so they won't be able to give you your due. So they will take you around in corners, and they won't be able to pay. That's why my consultation you have to pay before I consult you. So guys, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.